We continue our X-Files countdown to Halloween with...
Don't think you're not expendable. No. You never once said I was doing a good job. All my hard work. Nobody ever stuck up for me.
Weird, normally this guy sits next to me on the bus. He pulls a gun, tells all the children they can go, but he keeps everyone else here. Only one older man steps forward and speaks to him very rationally. I've got to admit, it's not often that I say, I kind of feel sorry for the lunatic waving a gun around. But listening to this guy talk, he's just trying to lead him to see why he doesn't really want to do this. But then someone tries to slip out, and dude flakes out and begins shooting people at random. See? People like you contribute to the stereotypes about mad gunmen. The cops shoot the gunman, but the mysterious man touches him and heals him. And since this is right in their neighborhood, Arlington, Virginia, Mulder and Scully swing by to see Jesus visiting a fast food restaurant. Or as I would have written the headline, the Burger King of Kings. The paramedics confirm that when they arrive, everyone was just fine. And Scully even speaks to one of the people shot, hearing about how the mysterious man just healed him somehow. As for the gunman, he's convinced that this was the work of a holy man on behalf of God. We could ask him, but it seems the guy just vanished. No surprise. I heard he moves in mysterious ways. Meanwhile, up in Rhode Island, if you don't recognize her, that's Mulder's mother, and she's meeting with the cigarette-smoking man. He wants to reminisce about the old days. She doesn't, but he needs something from her. To remember something. They take your picture at the end of the ride, just like at Universal Studios. Meanwhile, the mystery man is identified as Jeremiah Smith, although given that his address is a fake, who knows if that's true. I can see him using it, though. Jeremiah is a good name for a religious man. I don't see Jeremiah running a casino or working as a gigolo. The detective who'd questioned him said Jeremiah just vanished in the amount of time he spent looking down at his notebook to write something down. Weird. They're interrupted by a call from Skinner about Mulder's mom.
A small coastal town of Rhode Island called
Quanticotok?
That name is impressive. And I live in Wisconsin, where the sport is watching reporters and politicians visit a town and then try to pronounce its name right. Best part is nobody can complain about that. They're American Indian names, like Quanticotoks is. Oh, sorry, next time steal the land from people with names that are easier to pronounce. Mulder arrives to find his mother has had a stroke, and the nurse says she's been in and out of consciousness, but hasn't been able to speak. However, she writes Palm in Mulder's notebook before they take her to another hospital in Providence, which admittedly is a nicer sounding name if you want to recover from a stroke. Mulder keeps thinking about Jeremiah Smith healing people with the palm of his hand and wondering if there might be a weird connection. I mean, weird connections are his thing.
But you can't explain it exactly. Nor can it be explained how the wounded were miraculously healed or how the man who healed them just vanished into thin air, can it?
And he can't explain why Netflix keeps canceling series after only one season. Mulder heads back to the FBI so he can look at who this man was. The news team got some footage of him. When they see him get replaced by someone else when no one, or not even the camera, can see him, but wearing the same clothes. Damn changelings. We soon see some spooks show up at the Social Security Administration, where Jeremiah Smith is working. He tries to slip away, but gets nabbed by the cigarette-smoking man's goons. The audience for Joker 2 is being brought in. Mulder returns to the old house and runs into X. X was the one who was taking the photos, and he's the one who called for help when she collapsed, after her guest had already left. Since she vowed never to come back here, odds are there's something in this place that's important. Important enough for both these men to be interested. And speaking of interest, a person of interest has met Scully at the FBI, Jeremiah Smith, and looking much more appropriately dressed since we last saw him. He says all of this is just a misunderstanding, and he's come to cooperate, except he doesn't have much to offer. He says he can't remember what happened after the shooting started, only showing up for work the next day. Well, aside of giving a false address, which he claims he was disoriented when he did so, he hasn't actually done anything wrong, so he's free to go. As for Mulder, he's going through the old summer home trying to see what might have been so interesting. Boy, this is giving me some very familiar vibes. I can practically smell that sort of musty old mattress aroma and cigarette smoke yellowed curtains. I have an irresistible urge to fish. Mulder realizes that if you've just had a stroke, palm might be the way that you spell lamp, so he starts smashing old lamps. Well, there's a surprise in one of them. Oh yes, a genie. No, actually, yeah, one of those. The thing the alien bounty hunter uses when he kills rogues. So, that's got to be a quest item. Meanwhile, the real Jeremiah Smith gets a visit in his cell from the cigarette smoking man.
You're not allowed to put your indulgences ahead of the greater purpose.
I no longer believe in the greater purpose.
The X-Files was blessed and cursed by Chris Carter's approach. The mythology of the show wasn't some grand plan. You just have lots of parts that are set up for exciting glimpses, a striptease, where the show gives you tantalizing peeks, but didn't just pull away the cover and let you see it all. This gave us elements that don't seem to fit together. For instance, the policy of killing any aliens that survive a crash, as revealed in EBE, seems inconsistent with the collusion with aliens. Yes, you can duct tape the points together. The conspiracy had to follow the secret international agreement to avoid raising eyebrows, and the aliens just restore the dead ones back to life later on. That's my off-the-cuff guess. But they do feel, well, as ad hoc as they were. I should really object more to this approach. Except I can't. I can't bring myself to for a couple of reasons. One is that I don't think Chris Carter thought the show would be the success it became, but it was very much lightning in a bottle, very much of its moment in every sense, including the fact that Fox was looking to establish itself as a place for more than just teen drama and comedies. The mythology basically had to become a thing once the show endured so long that the pieces had to be tied together to give it coherency. And second, Carter and his team of writers were perfect for this conspiracy jazz piano thing they were doing. While Enterprise's failure to think through the temporal Cold War showed in its anemic execution, the team on the X-Files, they knew how to make it feel like we were one of those crazy wall people with pins and string that had so many different bits of one larger picture. And that messiness actually played to the show's strength. Maybe I'm getting off the subject, but to maybe illustrate my point, one of my all-time favorite music video moments is from AC/DC's Who Made Who, where these beings create a bunch of duplicates of Angus. This is not a convincing effect. Today, this would be done digitally. But such a move would diminish it. It's the imperfections of this scene, that the cutout guitars in it, that give it something better than perfection would. That's the same thing with the X-Files. The absence of a grand plan truly is a feature of the show and not a bug. Conspiracies are taking pieces and trying to make them fit together and fudging where they don't fit. The X-Files isn't just about a conspiracy, it's built like one.
At what cost to them for your own selfish benefit?
Well, our antagonist doesn't take kindly to that, but who's even more ornery is Mulder, who heads right into Skinner's office demanding to know who this guy really is. He'd given Mulder the man's address before, after all.
Agent Mulder, there was a time when I might have been able to tell you how to contact him, but that time is past.
Yeah, I'd say getting shot is a sign that they might not want to cooperate with Skinner anymore. Scully mentions they've found Jeremiah Smith, so Mulder goes down to have a chat with him. Of course, this is still not the real one, but Jeremiah cooperates anyway. Except he disappears into a crowd. As in, he pulls a small crowd in on himself, and then when they're all unpacked, the guy's nowhere to be seen. Frickin' changelings. As for the one in a can...
The extent of my power.
You think you're God. You're a drone.
Well, to be fair, some drones can drop judgment from up on high.
All you want is to be a part of it. Is to be one of the commandants.
I would look spiffy in a uniform. But then Jeremiah reveals some bad news. There's a reason everyone calls him Cancer Man. Yep, he's dying. If only there was someone with the power to heal you, huh? So, shocker, the alien bounty hunter shows up and finds an empty cell. There's been a little quid pro quo here. Of course, Mulder lost his Jeremiah, so he doesn't have anyone to come and heal his comatose mother. Which means Mulder is not in a very good mood.
I should shoot you right here, but they'd probably be able to save you.
Stupid doctors. Anyway, Nicotine Nemo here claims that Mulder's mother was the one who contacted him because he has a lead on the whereabouts of Samantha. Except the man with that info vanished. He says he's not interested in the space shiv. He's really here just to see Mulder's mother. Or to mess with Mulder. Let's not rule that one out. But no, the other one who wants it is X, who meets with Mulder in a parking garage. He needs it for when the time comes. See, you could fill in the blanks there. Mulder keeps it, by the way. They're going to kill him, he says. No matter the risk of starting a crusade from his martyrdom, they'll kill him to death. But Mulder's going to keep it anyway. So they fight, then they fight, then they fight, then they fight, until finally they have guns on each other. They do not part on the best of terms. I wouldn't really expect him to return Mulder's phone calls after tonight. But who does show up at Scully's is Jeremiah Smith, who has her wary as she learned earlier that there were numerous Jeremiah Smiths working in Social Security, and all of whom had the same face. That's why it's easy to accept when he says that he's never spoken to Scully before, and he needs to tell Mulder about the project and how it relates to his sister. Well, nice timing, because Mulder calls. So they arrange to meet in an out-of-the-way place, and Mulder is wary, but he wants him to come and save his mother. Except, guess who arrives? The alien bounty hunter for the season-ending cliffhanger. How will it turn out? Let's find out tomorrow as we finish out X-Files Countdown to Halloween.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
You gonna smoke that? Or you want to smoke on this?
Are you giving me a choice?